This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
I did hear that they were coming through necessary media.
Because it's necessary. Necessary media. Media. Okay.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am back for the first time here on Necessary TV. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This, again, is the first show. I'm hoping we get some of you out there to appreciate it. You come back next week. We're going to be here every Wednesday, 6 to 6:30. Now, the more you that tune in, the more you that communicate through social media, get the movement moving, then we can see what we can do with this show and we can make some more things happen. So again, I want to say very special thank you to all you out there, and I will take the support as much as I can get. Now, today, this is the first show, so there might be some kinks I got to work out, but we're going to see how it goes. But on today's show, I have with me as my guest, former Fall River City Councilor Mike Miozza. We're going to be discussing a lot of the a resurgence of this conversation having to do with Windowgate. I know everybody out there is probably familiar with that, and I hope you are, and you should be, because there's a lot of unsolved questions to this that we really need to get to. So we're gonna go into him in a little bit with that. Then we're gonna follow that up a little later with the fan favorite No Flex Zone Award of the Week. So if we can get this thing again on track, we'll see what we can do with this. But right now, oh, and by the way, actually, to the real fans out there, the people who've been supporting this since Necessary Radio, I had a couple people reach out to me and ask, well, Mike, what's going on with Jake and Kelly? Did you square everything off with Jake and Kelly? So for the rest of you out there who might not know, I had two interns, Jake and Kelly, Team JK, who used to work with me at the radio. Well, we got into a little bit of a tiff, and contract issues were up in the air. We worked it out. So Team JK is here. They've been helping out a lot with the camera work. I got to give them props. I appreciate everything they've done with the production of this show, and we'll do hopefully going forward. We'll see how they do. Interns in, interns out. Am I right? So again, everybody, don't worry about it. They're here. They're good. Now, I think we should just get this started because this is a half-hour show. I'm used to having a 2-hour show through radio, but we should probably get this started. So I want to introduce my guest. Like I said, former Fall River City Councilor Mike Miozza. Mike, how are you?
I am wonderful, Mike. Thank you for having me on as your first guest on Necessary Media TV.
Yes,
I'm honored.
Well, believe me, I am honored as well, because as I mentioned to you before we got on air, some people might know as well, my first appearance on any television production out of this studio was for another show that you were actually a guest on. So that was my first real introduction into discussing things face-to-face with an actual city councilor. So I'll give you credit, as you kind of like, you eased me into it. Good. Some people might be a little nervous, you know what I mean? I know you're used to it, you're used to dealing with all that stuff, but some people might be a little bit taken back, in awe. Yeah. So once you figure out how everything goes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a big deal. Get involved, do what you can. But yeah, so Mike, you've been pushing this thing now. This week, I think, was it started at the end of last week, maybe, with the Windowgate?
Well, I mean, I think, Mike, it's something I've been pushing since I was a city councilor. When the whole issue surfaced, a lot of people may not recall, but Ray Mitchell and I had sent a letter to the Inspector General, Mr. Glenn Cunha, to investigate, and if you recall, there was a $560,000 bond where $60,000 got allocated to fix the mayor's bathroom, to put tile floors in, to put glass windows into the legal department. Right. So we sent a letter. I actually have a copy here with me. We sent a letter.
That's the original letter.
That is the city, and you're welcome to have that. That was the letter that we sent on February 18th.
Can I just snatch that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You have doubles?
I have more, so don't worry. I don't need it. I just had brought it with me. we had asked the Inspector General as far back as then. I believe the windows came up shortly thereafter. And we never got a resolution to it. I don't know if you recall back in September of 2015, there was an article in the Herald News where then Mayor Sutter said that some government agency, it was a mysterious government agency, he didn't identify who it was.
Right, cue the X-Files music.
Yeah, so you know, we didn't know if it was a state agency or a federal agency, but he made comments to the effect that this was still under investigation.
Right.
And then I believe it was in October of 2015 where there's another Herald News article where Judge Macy, the Corporation Counsel, indicated that he had been contacted by the Inspector General and they had made a lot of requests. So Windowgate was, you know, being investigated. Recently, I was contacted by somebody that I've known for a long time, a friend of mine who worked on my campaigns, Sue Mathias, who had spoken in front of the City Council recently.
Yes.
And not just her, a few other people that have as well, you know, wanting to understand, well, what's happened with the investigation, because it's kind of like a shell game. Well, what's going on with it?
I think if we dig through the archives, I was one of those people who have mentioned it at a City Council meeting during citizens input, because as you mentioned, there was a lot of people who were paying attention to this. And again, for the people who are longtime fans of Necessary Media and what we've been doing here, if you also go, again, because I should let you know as well, this show, if you missed some of it, or if you just want to let your family and everybody know, after the show's over, I will be uploading it to the YouTube page, www.youtube.com/thenecessarymedia. If you go there now, one of the things on there, I don't know if you've ever caught it, is I've been pushing this thing. I'm trying to get a Pulitzer off this. I have an interview with Sean Kadim from when he was running.
Yes, I did hear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been told by a couple people that there's a lot of information in that seems telling, I guess. Now, me, when I heard it, my opinion is he describes pretty well the order of operation, as if you will, as far as, you know, who gets the buck, who gets it next. Again, with all this said, I was definitely one of these people like, are we going to get answers from this? You know, what's going on? And then we all get the runaround, like you've said.
Right.
You get the, well, this guy's handling it. No, then he tells you this guy's handling it.
Right.
Who's got the ball?
Right, exactly.
They're playing the,
it's like they're tipping it, yeah.
The Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where the thing went.
Yeah.
So with all that happening, though, because like I said, I think everybody out there, if not, you're gonna learn today. But if not, you should know at least that there's been some kind of an issue with 22 windows being installed on the 6th floor of Government Center with no paperwork at all.
Exactly.
The only reason we know about this is, you can take it.
Yeah, no, good point. And the only reason we know about this is because somebody got stiffed on a check. There was a bounce check. The Florida Police Department got involved. Went to City Hall. So if that had not happened,
Right.
nobody probably would have been the wiser.
Which would make a wise man wonder what else is going on. We haven't had somebody go to the cops yet from a bounce check.
And that's a good point, because so first we have a misappropriation of $60,000 from a $560,000 loan order. Then we have the windows, and then the question does beg, and you said it, what else?
Right.
What else don't we know? So had it not been for that bounce check, and I feel bad for that vendor who I guess never got paid. I think it was $50,000.
Well, wasn't it one of the positive spins that was being sold on this?
Yeah.
It was, we didn't have to pay for it.
The city got free windows.
Yeah, we got free windows.
But that's not the point. The point,
not at all.
and at the end of the day, I mean, what now concerns me is that happened.
Right.
Okay. What was the fix? How do we know that's not going to happen again? We never heard. What's the cure? I mean,
Right.
Did it happen before that? Has it happened after that?
Right.
So what's the fix? And then one of the troubling things, as you said earlier, no paper trail. And obviously, you got to believe, one has to believe that was probably intentional. I mean,
Well, again, it has to have been, because when they try to describe how this has been taken care of, it's easily just passed off one to the other, and yet I've never heard any of the people who are telling the story of what happened. None of them actually tell you where the responsibility lies.
right.
That's the part that's crazy to me, which is why I mentioned the interview again. So if you're watching this and you want to check it out, the Sean, I mean, other people have spoken about it, but again, the Sean Kadim interview I do have, he lists the order of operation, who should have the buck, but everybody who I know who has told me, you know, it's a great interview or whatever, it's a lot of information, no one has pointed out, oh yeah, the buck stopped right there.
Right.
So no one's taking responsibility, no one's taking blame, and it's kind of getting swept under the rug. Now at the state level, and obviously the federal level, other than people telling us there's a mystery team on this, Scooby-Doo,
Right.
they're on this thing. Other than that, there's nothing happening.
Right.
Nobody else.
Right. As far as I know, it's just the IG's office that has been investigating this since October.
But they've just pretty much said no issue with it, right?
No. We met with the mayor, Sue Mathias and I. She went and collected, I think it was like 150 signatures on petitions.
Right.
We put a letter together to the mayor. Really, all we asked the mayor to do was, listen, if a report does come out in the future, to daylight that report. That I think, he would owe it to the citizens of Fall River and the taxpayers to say, hey, this is what happened, and not only this is what happened, but how do we fix it moving forward? So something like that never happened. So we've just asked him to daylight the report. But what he told us, Mike, was that the Inspector General has been in, I think he said 3 or 4 times since he's been in office, which is what, 3 months?
Right.
So it appears there is an active investigation going on. It is taking quite a while. As Sue Mathias says, murder cases wrap up quicker than this.
Yeah,
but
48 hours.
But at least it seems like it is active. And we just asked the mayor, once you get this report, please daylight it to the public. Don't, let's not bury this report, because I think you owe it, and we owe it to the public to say,
100%.
This is what happened. Look, it appears that tax, there was a debt of tax, a tax debt that was being, was going to be either, I don't know, forgiven. I don't know if 22 windows equals $800,000.
Right.
But where's the paperwork trail to say, okay, we're going to install 22 windows and $100,000 is gone of your back taxes.
Right. All right, I have my intern telling me we have a phone call, so we're going to take that phone call. Caller, hello? Caller, hello?
Yes, I just want to say this is the greatest show on earth. It's necessary. I love what you're doing. Me, Lulu, and Crypty are here. I love you, brother.
Viva la necessary. Viva la necessary, right? Raise the rifles, get them going, all that good stuff.
You got it, brother. Necessary.
All right, thanks, man.
Bye.
All right, now something I wanted to touch on while you were talking about
Yeah.
that, and I want to say this to everybody who's actually paying attention, because to me this is an important issue. A lot of the time when I was doing the old show and I had different city councils on, I'm not going to name names, and I don't think actually you were one of them. I think more or less when we've had this conversation, you're, and this is not drinking Kool-Aid, because Mike, I've told you pretty much every time I've ever talked to you, if things that I like or respect about you, that's great. But if there's ever an issue, part of the reason why I like you is that I think I could say it to you without getting like confusion or a confrontation back. I think you'd be pretty much open to a conversation. So again, I'm not going to mention any other names, but there was times when I had conversations with other city councilors where when you bring up things like this, they don't get that the citizens have this disconnect brewing stronger and stronger as far as where they think the government right now stands on their behalf or not. So something like this with the window situation, I think it exemplifies that perfectly, where the government we have, when we're asking them questions, are saying, like we said before, hey, we didn't pay for the windows, what do you care?
Right,
we didn't pay for the windows, we're not responsible for the windows, and if we take it back to mayors past, they'll get into legal jargon. Section 342-A says, I don't need to worry about this. It ain't my problem. So they go at it this way, but the citizens are going to look at this like, what are you talking about? This happened. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What else happened that we don't know about?
Yeah.
And what could be happening tomorrow that we won't know about unless somebody bounces a check?
Right. Yeah.
So I applaud the fact of taking it up, but I guess some other people haven't. What's your overall response you've gotten from this? I know a lot of the people I know and the citizens are pretty positive about it, but I also know there's been some backlash as far as you trying to put this, you and Sue, I believe, again, and I don't even, it's kind of nuts to me because I feel like maybe you guys are spearheading this right now, but you're far from the only people pushing this.
Right. So number one, let me answer. I think I know where you're going with that question because I've heard some of this. Somebody is saying that I'm doing this for my political career. I don't have a political career right here, Mike. I chose to
Not
step.
on this show.
I chose to step down from city council.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm going to be doing 2 years. I may be done serving the community in that type of capacity. I haven't made up my mind.
Right.
So the other thing I want to say to this is something I've been working on right along.
Right.
Now, had it not been for Sue Mathias calling me and putting a voice to this and asking me to get involved, I would not probably have gotten involved. But, you know, she came to me, she's a good friend. She said, you know, we need to get to the bottom of this. What can we do? And I said, well, we need to daylight this. Because to your point earlier, oftentimes what people want to have happen is they want time to pass so people forget,
Right.
and the memory fades of this. And I said, Sue, the only way that we're going to get people to get re-engaged with this is to, you know, to go get some petitions, show that it's just not me and you, number one. And I will tell you, there's another media outlet that says this is still like the number one issue that people talk about and want answers to. And rightfully so. There's an accountability issue here.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at, is in talking about, again, I'm not going to use specifics, and just you can feel as comfortable to discuss this in whatever way you feel. But my understanding is what I've heard is you've gotten some backlash, and Sue have gotten some backlash. I'm not using names, but certain media outlets that you've gone to try to project this onto people, to give people you know, this information. You've gotten a little bit of a backlash, and my question would be is where the resistance would come from, because other than just trying to sweep this under the rug, there was a genuine, at least for the first 2 days, I think, definitely the day that this first was being pushed out on the media, there was like a resistance, a pushback, just to be like, why again? Like, that's what you hear, the why again? Why aren't we just talking about the waterfront?
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about beautifying the waterfront?
Well,
why are we talking about this?
Listen, again, this is an issue that still resonates with the public. And you know, Mike, this is more than just an accountability issue. I don't know if you realize, a window about 6 weeks ago fell from the 6th floor and hit the ground.
Mike, I want to get into that. That's a solid subject, so if you give me 1 second. We
Sure.
got another caller. Hey, caller. Caller, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
Baba Booey.
Yeah.
Baba Booey.
Yeah.
Baba Booey.
All right. See, this is the thing. That's why I said I knew. But it's fine, because Viva la necessary. I don't know how many times to say that, but I will continue to say that. Now, Mike, I wanted to get into that chunk of information, because now that I don't know how many people out there might know. Now, obviously, it's been reported in the paper and it's been reported on different media outlets and the city council. But again, something like I tried to say to you earlier to explain to people who might be tuning in for the first time, what I'm trying to do with this show is bring information to people who might not have gotten it through the other means, because I think there's a lot of people who just let this stuff glaze over. They don't care. So I'm trying to bring this at you so you can catch it in an entertaining way, in some way, shape, or form, so it can register there. So maybe for some people who might not have known all this information yet, what is the situation with that window that fell?
Well, that's a good question. We don't know.
So people just woke up one day and found a window.
It fell out on a Monday afternoon. I would say roughly six weeks ago. There was a windstorm. Like you know, it was one of those days we had a really windy day. And from what I know, there wasn't workers up there. It just fell out. Now you're talking a piece of glass that's like 3 foot wide, maybe 8 to 10 feet tall, probably ½ inch to an inch. I don't know what that weighs, Mike.
Yeah.
But we're lucky that it didn't hit anybody.
Right.
Or seriously hurt. And I don't know. I mean, a glass that size, I would think has the potential to kill
Yeah,
somebody.
that's pretty fatal.
I would think so.
Yeah,
So I'm a safety professional. When these type things happen, we call these near misses or near hits.
I think I heard you say that somewhere else, and to be honest with you, and I just thought it was hysterical, because I know you are a safety professional, and I'm like, that's funny. I'm a layman, and I definitely understand that professional dialogue. It's definitely a near miss.
Right.
Anybody catches that on their big toe, they're probably taken out. That's serious damage.
So my question, what made it fall? Did the glue or the adhesive or whatever? Now, I understand if you go back from when the City Hall was first built, from the time it was built, they've had problems with those windows.
Really?
I understand they were either blown out because of pressure.
Yep.
So it's not something that the city is not aware of through the years, that those windows have problems. So why does a window mysteriously fall from 6 stories? Now, I go in there quite often. The public goes in there quite often. Children go in there.
Right.
What are we doing to address it?
Well, to what we're doing to address it, maybe I was seeing if maybe you could clarify some things for me on this. Did you catch the city council meeting, the last one?
No, I know a resolution was put in.
Right, that's what I was going to ask, because I mean, I caught some of it, and the parts that I caught, I didn't really get too much of a good explanation on what was going on. I don't know if it was because of the way I caught pieces in and out of it, but my understanding was you had Councilor Ponte had put forth it with, was it with Steve, Councilor Camara, Steve?
I don't know if anybody signed on. I don't know that for sure.
Okay, so what do you know about that?
And I don't even know if it passed. I need to find out. No, but I do know.
That's why I wanted to ask you, because it was crazy. It was like a volleyball match going on where it spent about. That's why I was confused on what the heck's going on.
Really? Yeah.
It took like 15 to 20 minutes of. Is it going to go to the safety board or safety committee? Is it going to go to finance? And it was this back and forth, back and volley for serve, like, over and over again.
Yeah. So
and you know, between probably about 4 councilors, I don't know enough about the specifics to know who was right or who was wrong in that situation. But what I know was it looked ridiculous to anybody who's paying attention, because it was just, again, volley for serve, back and forth.
not knowing what the issue was, if this is not a true public safety issue,
Right.
I don't know what is.
Right.
I don't understand what the volleying. I don't
It was
get
something to do with, again, differentiating who should get it first, finance or safety.
Well,
finance or safety.
I don't get it, and so with all due to the city, I'd have to watch that. But
If without seeing it, your professional opinion as a safety professional
goes to the public safety. It's a public safety issue. So I don't know what somebody's argument would be, but my whole point is that when the 22 windows got installed, we asked Ken Pacheco as a councilor, and I was on the council, because now we question, were the windows put in correctly?
Right.
Who checked it?
Right,
Because nobody's responsible. Hands off.
Right.
Well, then who signed off at the 22 windows?
Right.
So we asked for an engineering study or a safety study or an expert to look at them. I thought that had been done, and so I told Sue Mathias to call Chris Ponte to get the study, and let's daylight that study. Sue Mathias came back to me and said that Ponte told her that no study was done, that Ponte told her that, yeah, the city council wanted it, but they never allocated any funds. Therefore, no study was done.
Right.
Okay, so we haven't done a study all this time. We just had a window 6 weeks ago fall from 6 stories.
Right.
We've cornered off a little area. What if one falls on the other side?
Right.
What are we doing to address it? And let's get this study done, because I would think the liability to the city would be huge.
If somebody catches that, I mean, right, you're talking about liability. I mean, the lawsuit would, again, I don't even think they'd have to actually have any, let's say, again, that happened at 6 in the morning or something you said, right?
I think it was 3:30, around 3:30.
In the morning, though?
No, in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
No, in the afternoon, from what I understand.
Nobody miraculously was around there.
Exactly. I mean, wow. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
wow. Yes.
Yeah, all right, cool. Okay, because my point is, let's say I thought it was in the morning. Now, if that thing falls sometime in the morning, if it's found there on the ground, I mean, I grew up with people who jump in front of cars, is what I'm saying. Like, not friends, but we've seen it, who look for the lawsuits, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if that window just falls and nobody's there to see it, does a lawsuit come about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ancient Chinese proverb.
There are what we call professional claimants out there that see opportunities.
Right, that's what
Who
I'm saying.
knows?
You see
I mean,
this all
right.
the time.
But the reality is that the city was very lucky that at 3:30 in the afternoon, that didn't hit somebody.
Right.
I mean, now I find myself going up the stairs and I look up. I mean, because it's on my mind as to what caused that window to fall. It wasn't like we had workmen there and they dropped the plant, as far as I know.
Right.
It just fell out. So how are we addressing it? And I know I need to find out how that went. I thought it was going to be a simple 9-0 vote, send it to public safety, and let's.
No, I believe it's gone forward, and I think it don't take my word on this right now, because this was such a volley for serve situation, but I believe it is going to safety. But one way or another, it was either going to public safety or finance, and it was just going back and forth. It just seemed like, again, to the people who are barely paying attention, I'm telling you, I pay attention to this stuff, and the fact that I left the room for a second, I come back, and all I'm hearing is this back and forth about someone grabs the mic, and I think it actually shouldn't go to safety, because if we're gonna, basically it was like, if we're gonna pay for this right away, then let's just get it to finance and get it taken care of. And then someone else said, well, this is a safety issue, so if it's a safety issue, it's got to go to the safety. So it was just, that's why I can't even tell you who's right or wrong. It was just this opinion of who thinks they're right or wrong.
I just hope there's no politics played. This is a true public safety. Let's just get the money. Let's allocate the money. Let's get the study done. Let's figure out why windows are falling. Why this particular window? Are we at risk for another window falling?
Right.
Do we have to? Whatever it is we have to do, let's do it.
Right.
Because somebody could get seriously hurt.
The mayor, and the mayor is, on board with this, pushing this forward?
Oh yes, he was he's very supportive. He wants to. What his words to us was, he wants to get to the bottom of this too. He wants to find out what happened. I'm wondering if he was serving as a counselor there. So he may be not. I'm trying to remember when he came in.
The question that pops into my head, or just let's look at the possibility of what could come from this. There's 2 people right now involved in form of a government in some shape or capacity that could be responsible in some way, shape, or form with that in the window. In other words,
I hear. Yeah.
You have City Council President Sean Kadim, and you still have Ken Pacheco is still involved in. All right. If what happens or what comes about if all of a sudden blame is found the buck goes on one of these people? Because the only other person, my understanding, that could, and ultimately the buck stopped there, was former Mayor Will Flanagan. So I mean, if somehow they put the blame or it falls on his lap, I mean, he's already out of the situation.
Yep.
He could deal. If anything, I could see right now, if it falls on his lap, that's pretty much probably the easiest thing for the city to deal with, because he's already out of government. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But if one of these other 2 individuals, if somehow responsibility falls on their lap, I mean, you're dealing with another ugly mess going on over here.
Well, I think it'll be up to the voters and then up to the mayor for to decide.
If we're gonna have one of these mystery government agencies on this thing, I mean, I don't know if it will be up to the voter to determine what's going on. Hey, I think we got another phone call. Caller, you there?
I am.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, first of all, I want to say what a great show that the 2 of you are having.
Thank you very much.
I'm hoping I can clear something up, because I attended the city council meeting last night, and you're absolutely right. It was like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. Something that should have probably taken 2 minutes ended up taking like 20 or 25 minutes.
Right.
It was so foolish. But the bottom line is the resolution did pass. Councilor Ponte did manage to hold his ground, and definitely wanted it referred to the Public Safety Committee. But then they also added an amendment that it will go to Finance, because the issue of that window that fell from the 6th floor, I guess they need to appropriate the money to have it fixed right away or whatever. So there's actually 2 things going on. In 2 weeks, the Finance Committee will address the issue of the window that fell and what are they going to do to rectify it. And also the issue of the other windows in Government Center, hopefully will be sent to Public Safety so it can be discussed in that committee, which is the right committee to send it to.
Right. Hey,
So,
listen, I apologize, but I kind of got to move this along because the show's only a half hour, so I got to.
Okay, no
I
problem.
appreciate the phone call, though, and thank you very much. And you know what?
Anytime. Good show. Good luck. Okay.
Hey, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now, Mike, like I told you, we got to wrap this show up.
Sure.
I got a couple seconds, but I want to go into the fan favorite No Flex Zone Award of the Week real quick.
No flex zone. No flex zone. They know better. They know better.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, that's right. This is the No Flex Zone, the zone where you do not belong flexing. And this week's winner, I got to do this quick, but if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Cat Williams, comedian Cat Williams. There's a video out there floating around where this guy supposedly or apparently tries to get into a fight with what's supposedly a 7th grader. The kid looks like he could be a little bit older, could be like 16 or 17. But he gets into, if you ever seen Cat Williams, this is a wee little guy. He gets into a fight with him and he gets wrecked. He gets wrecked by a 7-year-old. He ends up in like a UFC chokehold and that's it. So again, that is your No Flex Zone Award winner of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, if you were listening for the password is Cat Williams. So remember that for the contest. There's a contest going on. Now, Mike, that's going to be the show for today. Again, it's a half-hour show. We got to wrap this up. But
Thank you
I
for having
appreciate
me
you being
on.
here.
Good luck with the show.
Thank you very much. Again, first time in the studios with Mike, first time on the shows with Mike. So I got to appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out. That's the show. Peace.